Hi, this is Bruce Buffer, your voice of the Octagon, and you're listening to MMA Mental.
Okay, we are now joined by Zak Cummings. First of all, Zak, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me on.
My pleasure. So obviously, Zak is just coming off the latest season of Ultimate Fighter. You were due to fight on the finale, but you had to pull out with injury. Is that correct?
Yeah, I tore my hamstring about 2 weeks out of outside the fight and forced me to pull out of the fight.
Oh, what a shame. So before we talk a little bit about the season, what will happen now then? Will you get another fight in the UFC?
Yeah, I've talked to Dana White, I've talked to Joe Silva. They both completely understand that the injuries happen. And I was actually up training with Chael, so he was awesome. They knew that it was a legit injury, and I just wasn't making excuses. I actually was trying to fight through it. So they understand, and they said, they'll give me my shot. Just let them know as soon as I heal up, and they'll get me in there.
So what was it like knowing that you've still got that, you've still got that sort of forward to kind of help get you motivated to get yourself healed back up again? Because obviously it's a big opportunity fighting in the UFC, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a huge opportunity, and, a dream of mine. So definitely hoping it happens.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the Ultimate Fighter. Obviously, you were all pulled together, and you were told, of course, which probably by now you knew you're going to have to fight to get in the house. Now, your first fight was against a pretty well-known guy, like obviously you're well-known as well, pretty well-known guy, Nick Ketty. What did you know about him going in?
Honestly, I didn't really know much of anything about him. I know he walked by Chael, and sorry, real quick. He walked by Chael. I know Chael said something about that he was a stud or something, and that was so I knew that. I knew Chael knew him. I knew Chael respected him. A few guys around the gym was kind of talking about him, knowing that he was a real tough wrestler and everything. So all I really knew is that Chael respected him, knew he was good, and that he was a very good wrestler. That's about all I went off of. And the funny thing is, when I walked into the locker room to train, or to warm up for my fight, Vinny was in there and was asking, who's fighting Nick Ketty and all this stuff, and everyone's like, oh, Zak is, and it was Vinny's wrestling coach. I'm like, I felt like I was set up pretty much, to get beat. I mean, Chael respected the guy, knew the guy. I mean, Chael's locker room and his coaches. And then there's guys like Vinny and everybody who, that was his wrestling coach. So everybody was pretty much expecting Nick to just walk right through me. But,
obviously, that's not what happened. I mean, and I'm sure you went into the fight and you knew you could win the fight. Did you expect to win it like that?
I didn't, honestly. I knew it would be. I was expecting a war. I mean, I knew the guy's a very good wrestler. I'm a decent wrestler myself, but I'm not I want the alternate. So, I mean, I felt pretty good in all aspects of the game, but I mean, did I know I was going to come out there and catch him with the lead hook and drop him in 7 seconds? No, I wasn't expecting that at all, but I was happy.
How nice is it to move through that fight and not just obviously win the fight, but obviously move through with obviously zero damage and get yourself into the house?
Yeah, it was great having no damage for the house. Downside is I was the very last guy to fight the prelims, and I actually kind of got a little beat up throughout practice. So I was a little more beat up for the second fight than I would have been if I fought a little earlier. But I mean, that's kind of what you expect whenever you train that hard with that many good guys.
What was it like in the house? And what was it like training with not just the other fighters, but training with the coaches as well?
It was a great experience. It actually gave me a lot of confidence. I mean, I've got a 15-3 record. I've fought on some big levels and some big stages, but having that many guys my size and all the same weight class and everything, going at it was really good to it was great training, but then also having the coaches, we had Chael, Yushin Okami, who's one of the top middleweights, in the world, was there, and, we were able, a couple of us were able, to hold our own with him, and that really gave me a big confidence booster, knowing how good he is, and I mean, I know practice is practice, but, being able to beat him at certain times and in certain positions and, having good rounds against him really is a confidence booster. So, I mean, it was amazing.
Now, one of the things that stood out to me as well was obviously after that you'd all fought, you're all in the house. After you'd all fought and you had your 7 through, you're then going to get your wild card slots. It was down to 4 guys. It was between you and King Casey, and it was between Clint Hester and Bubba McDaniel. Now, I was watching that as a fan, and we obviously knew they were going to pick one from each team. And my first thought was it should be Clint, because he looked really good in his fight when he lost. And it should have been you. You had a pretty close fight. If I remember rightly, your fight, it looked like you'd won a round and he'd won a round, but of course ended up giving like a 10-10 round or something, and you obviously lost a close decision. Where King Casey, he didn't look that great in his fight, and he kind of gassed out. So I thought you two should have been the wild card. Were you surprised at the wild card picks?
I was very surprised. I didn't know. I knew Clint and Bubba would be a pretty, it'd be a toss-up because, they both were submitted, but, they both actually had pretty decent fights and everything. I respect Clint a lot. I do kind of agree that, Jones made the right decision of giving it to Bubba that he's been in the sport a lot longer. He's put in a lot more time, and that was his deciding factor. If that was his deciding factor, then I agree with it. It was a really close call for either one of them. I was very surprised I didn't get it. I mean, like you said, I thought I won the first round. It was very close. I mean, I won the first half, but it was complete domination. And the second half, I let him sweep me, and he was throwing some elbows. The thing is, on TV, not a lot landed. A lot of them were missing and glancing, and so I really didn't take any damage on the ground. He was just controlling, but I still thought I won that round. Even the second round, he controlled, 4 minutes of the round. He didn't even remember that entire round. I about had him knocked out, and, me being stupid, I went for that flying knee, and he caught me, took me down, and controlled me, which, I would have liked to seen that round, me, stood up a few times, me and Herb Dean kept threatening to stand it up and never did. But, I can't really blame someone, for me not getting up. So I was surprised. I thought I should have had it. Afterwards, Chael came up to me and said that Dana was very impressed with my performance, the fight to get in the house, the fight with Dylan, and I guess he really thought that I would get another shot in the UFC by my performance. And he said he couldn't say the same about Kevin Casey. Kevin showed up and just didn't perform at all. And he said that he made that decision to give Kevin a second chance to basically to prove himself to Dana White and try to get a fight in the UFC. As that's how it was explained to me. And if that was his, I should have lost in the first place, so I can't really get upset with someone for not giving me a second chance. But I was surprised. But that was the explanation that I was given.
I've got to be honest with you, that's awful. Absolutely terrible. You're supposed to be picked on, your performances in the house and who showed the most, and that's why they give you the wild card slot. And to give it for that reason, that just seemed, for me as a fan, that just seems absolutely terrible. My first thought, like I said, was it should have been you versus Clint. And ironically, that was supposed to be the fight in the finale as well, which was quite ironic because that should have been the... I'm really surprised at that. I think that's a really, really bad call. Chael Sonnen come across really well on the show. He's a great fighter, a great coach, and a great personality. And he did come across really well on the show. And I'm a bit surprised at that. What was it like working with Chael on such a close level? Because he obviously is, probably one of the biggest names in the sport at the moment.
Yeah, I was a fan of Chael's back, when he first was getting a fight with the WC and everything, before he really started bringing out that big persona and, and all the talking to the media and everything. So I didn't know what to expect, knowing it was going to be, a televised reality show and everything where the camera's always going to be on him. What's he going to be himself? What's he going to be that character that he normally comes out with? And he, on honestly surprised me. And he is a very, very good person. He's a great coach. You know, he's an amazing fighter, but he is just an amazing person. Like, he's a very, very solid individual. And being able to get that close and to meet him and see how he really is was a great experience. And I even went out to Portland and trained for, about 4 weeks out there with him and, off camera and everything. And he was the exact same way. So, that he has earned so much respect from me that it's not even funny, and I'll be a fan of his, and I will, back him up till the day I die, pretty much.
I've got to be honest. I mean, I like Chael. Obviously, I'm not interested with like you have, but I like him. I like what he does. I think the way he promotes himself is fantastic. But watching him on the show, it was a different. You did seem to see a different side to him, and the way, especially when he was 1-to-1 with somebody, he seemed to just be able to. There seems to be a connection between him and whoever he was talking to at that time. And he certainly, I think he won a lot of people over on that show. I think they've seen a very, very kind of personal side to him rather than the persona that he puts out.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, a lot of people judged him towards, a lot of stuff he was saying to amp up the Anderson Silva fights and everything, talking about Brazil. But, he really just found a good way to sell himself and market himself. And that's kind of what he was doing, but the real Chael Sonnen is what you see on the show, and I think a lot of people realize that, and that's why he gained a whole new fan base and actually changed a lot of people's minds. So, and I'm really happy actually for him that people actually get to see the real Chael.
Now, let's talk about some of the other stuff that we saw go on in the house. There's obviously a lot of hype during the whole season about the man everyone was scared to fight, and obviously Dana White loved Uriah Hall, and we saw what he did to Adam Seller and what he did to Bubba McDaniel. Obviously, I think a lot of people expected Uriah Hall to make the final. Was you surprised at the fact that he was facing Calvin Gastelum in the final?
It's different. It's very different because when we're training every day, we're all competing. Kelvin was definitely probably the worst link on our team. He was the worst guy there. He wasn't a great grappler anywhere. He's a decent wrestler, not amazing. He's a decent boxer. He was just pretty good everywhere, but he wasn't really great at anything. And, he was the last one picked. I mean, during practice, once again, obviously practice doesn't mean much because Kevin Casey is an absolute monster in practice. And that also might have been one of the reasons that, Chael gave him another chance on the wild card because he knew how good he really could be. Kelvin was pretty much getting beat by everybody every day. And, when it came to striking, Uriah was the same way. Uriah's a very good striker. If someone was able to take him down and put pressure on him and get him out of his element, then, he was getting beat quite a bit too. So, knowing how dangerous Uriah was, it didn't surprise me, especially the route he took. He got Adam, which was a great matchup for him. And then, when he fought Bubba, who just got them tight in multiple fights and everything. And, he caught him with a great right hand and put him to sleep. And then he fought Dylan, who had, Dylan had 3 wars and could barely walk before he even had that fight. So I'm not taking anything away from Uriah. He's a great fighter, and he's got a bright future. You go see, they love him. He's very marketable. He's a very good fighter, and I don't care who you are, he is dangerous. If he hits you and catches you with what he's good at, he's putting someone to sleep. Kelvin just was having fun the whole time and just kept going in there and winning. He was the underdog in every fight, and he just put his game face on and went to work. And it was so fun to watch. And, he became a little brother to, all of us. And, I think after he beat Josh, I don't know if you guys saw the celebration between our team, but I was, more excited for him winning that fight than, I get whenever I win a fight. It was a weird feeling. The house messes with you. It messes with your mind and everything because, you live with these guys, you make really good friends. So even though it's a fighting competition, like we really got close to each other. And Kelvin just won everybody over. He's just that goofy little kid that was, was having a great time and just always smiling. And then when he, came to fight, he showed up. And honestly, I had a few interviews beforehand. I told him he was going to beat Uriah. He wasn't scared of him. He was just going to put pressure on him, and that's what he did. He went out there and, he didn't give Uriah that space for his timing, and he went out there and took the fight from him.
Yeah, he certainly did do that, and it was very, very impressive. Now, during the show, obviously excluding any bouts that you were involved in, not the preliminaries, but which fight surprised you the most?
Fight surprised me the most. There was a lot, honestly. A lot of them was Kelvin. Kelvin and Bubba surprised me. Kelvin and Josh really surprised me. And then, Uriah and Bubba, that was a surprise. I mean, even though I thought, Uriah could, have the potential to catch Bubba and stuff like that, I didn't expect anything to be, a 9-second knockout. I mean, it was just very fast and it just happened. But, that's kind of the way the sport works.
Yeah, it was
you can't really get too surprised in this sport. You have to, with good guys, we could have that tournament 10 times and probably have a different winner every time. I think it was one of the rare seasons where they had a lot of good talent on the show, and not just or two guys. That was pretty much who's going to win it, and that was about it. So I don't know. Yeah, it's hard to be surprised to get that many good fighters together.
It was a fantastic season, and it shows. That's why, obviously excusing yourself because you were injured, and obviously we had two of the guys on a week before in Sweden, but everyone who made the house got a fight, which wasn't the case for the previous event. Now, I know Patrick's eager to jump in. Before I do let him jump in, I just want to ask you one more thing. Obviously, I'm based in the UK, and there was, of course, a British fighter in the house, Luke Barnett. I know he was on your team. What were your thoughts of Luke?
I love Luke. Is like one of my best friends in the house. We were roommates. There was me, Luke, and Thor, who was from Sweden. So it was kind of funny. You had my little country self, and then there was the two Europeans room with me. But Luke's a great guy. He came in the house with a great attitude. He knew he was young. Multiple times he was like, I don't even deserve to be here. He knew he only had so many fights, and there was guys that, I was 15-3 that fought on the big stage. There's, Bubba was 21-6. Dylan had the fights. He really was just there for the experience, and he was just going to learn from the whole experience and just run with it and the exposure. And we had a good time we were there, and he learned, and he got so much better the time we were there. And then he was actually out in Portland training with me and Chael before the finale and stuff, get ready, and we stayed together and roomed together there again. And it was amazing to see how much better he got, from the show till now. So, he's young. He just turned 25 the night that he won, and on the finale, and he just learned so fast. You show him one thing and he just picks it up. So he's a great guy. He's got a bright future. He's one of those where he's great interviewed. He's very marketable, and I honestly think the world of Luke, and I know that we'll be in touch and in contact for a long time, because I can't wait to go over there to the UK and train with him and see him as much as I can.
Oh, that's great. It was great watching him on the show. He was a great ambassador for the UK as well, and he come across so well on the show, the way he carried himself, the way he trained, and of course he had great fights in the house with the flying knee, and then the war with Dylan, which he was winning at one stage. He even won a round off his back, which is very unusual in MMA. But I know Patrick's eager to jump in, so I'll let Patrick go. You good to go, Patrick?
Yeah, sure am, Ray. And Zach, thanks again for your time. We really appreciate you coming on with us today.
Oh, no problem, man. Thank you for having me on. It's great.
Man, we're sure stoked to have you. So I want to go back just a little bit. Your last fight before you got on the Ultimate Fighter, you took on Brandon Newsom. You ended up winning in the first round. You slipped one of his punches beautifully. You took him down and just grinded him out. You ended up working your way to, I believe it was a mounted guillotine. Were you expecting him to come out so aggressive in that fight with the strikes?
I really they threw that fight together like on a week or 2 weeks or whatever it was. I mean, I was supposed to have a fight somewhere else and the guy backed out on me, in like Nebraska or something, and a promoter was, putting a show on in my hometown. And Springfield was like, well, hey, how about we get you a fight? So, I said, why not? They tried to get someone and they couldn't find anybody to take it, and so the next day, they called me and said, how about this Brandon Newsom guy? And, I mean, I looked at, he had about a 500 record. He had, quite a few fights, but, most of his losses were to very tough guys. So I really didn't know what to expect. I didn't, get to see any film on him. And, yeah, he came out the battle and kind of caught me off guard and stuff. And I really wasn't very happy with my performance in that fight. But, I was able to put him away pretty quick and everything, which I was happy about, but I don't know, he just kind of took me on my element right off the bat by coming out so aggressive. But I don't know, I was just happy to fight through it and get the win. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's got to be even more gratifying, just being able to do that. Not having seen the film of him, and of course with the record, and like you said before, we all know with MMA, you never know what's going to happen. 7-7 or not, anything could happen. So definitely a solid W. And also, when you your walkout for that fight, your walkout song was Slayer's "Raining Blood." Are you a metalhead, or was that the promoter's choice?
That was the promoter's choice. I actually do have that CD, but I normally walk out to a little like rock country type stuff. Yeah, with them, I just didn't really care. They played whatever, and they went with Slayer. So, I do like the song, but I'm not a crazy metalhead. But I like a little bit of everything, and Slayer's definitely in my stack of CDs that I have. So, I wasn't too upset, but I didn't pick it.
Well, that's cool. Got to keep the music selection well rounded, just like the skill set. So going back to the Ultimate Fighter, obviously, you guys talked about it a little bit on the show. You had tried out for the Ultimate Fighter. I think it was said 7 times. So how awesome was it when you finally get there to get that quick knockout over Nick Fichetti? I mean, that was brutal.
Yeah, it was an amazing feeling, honestly. I mean, I tried out multiple times. It was. I went to 7 tryouts. I tried out 6. One of them was when they did U.S. versus U.K. They switched to the weight class after I already had, everything bought. So I went out there to support my teammates to try it out, but I didn't actually try it out. But still, 6 tryouts is enough. And, after getting selected and everything, it was like, okay, finally I jumped through every hoop they wanted me to over and over again. I'm here. It would be an absolute shame to lose this fight, and it's all for nothing. So, having that, the fight go the way it did was amazing. I didn't expect it at all. I know I've got heavy hands, and, he dropped his. I saw it. I just caught him with a solid hook. I put him to sleep. So I was on cloud 9. I was incredibly happy. Proved to everybody that gave me the shot on the show that, they made the right decision. So it was a great feeling.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So, and I know you and Ray talked about it a little bit. Your fight with Dylan, it was a solid fight. I think you were winning the stand-up. You tagged him up a little bit in the first round. You got the takedown. You busted him up, opened up a nice gash on the side of his head, had him bloody. And it really was a close first round, probably went to you, just for damage. And, like you said, there was a flying knee that led to his takedown, and he didn't land too much damage from the top, but I guess just the top position, he ended up getting the decision. So would you say that fight was a learning experience, and for the Ultimate Fighter experience overall?
With that fight, I mean, it just, I think I got the, you have to be exciting, for everybody to, for them to want to like you and want to put you on there, like that was like another shot where I just want to be as excited as I can. I'm following up a 7-second knockout. I thought I had him dazed and everything. Like, all right, well, let's go for something, flying knee. I just need I definitely learned that, take a breath and don't give them, a lot of time to recover, but, let's be smart and pick our shots and, be professional about it and not just, go outside like a little schoolgirl and try to just fly in with something. But, I don't know. So, I mean, I just really learned that, I know that I belong there. I know I belong with the best guys in the world. And I just, whenever I fight my fight, I'm very, very dangerous. And I just have to keep guys where I want them. And, just put them in bad positions and finish fights. And that's what I need to do, and that's what I plan on doing in the future.
Beautiful. Well, you definitely showed a lot of great talent on the Ultimate Fighter and in your career leading up to that point. So, and again, just finally having made tough, it seemed like this season just really, it breathed a lot of new life into the series. The filming style was great. A lot of people were talking about it, the documentary style, they changed it up. But really, more importantly, yourself and all the guys on the season, they came out to fight and they put on some great performances, and the ratings showed that. How awesome was it for the season overall to go so well once you finally got there?
I mean, the season went great. I went in, I've seen, multiple seasons of The Ultimate Fighter. One of my best friends, Michael Johnson, was on it and, made it to the finale and everything. So I was expected, some type of dipshit in the house, someone just acting an idiot and breaking things and everything. And we just didn't have it. Everybody was so professional and got along and meshed. Even, some people kind of was giving Uriah a hard time, and some people thought Colin was a little different. But no one really, pushed it, and everybody's still, even though, you got that many guys in the house for 7 weeks or whatever it was. Yeah, there's going to be little arguments, little temper tantrums, I guess. I don't know, but it wasn't that bad. No one freaked out. Everybody got along. It was amazing. The downside to that is, I had all these tryouts for Ultimate Fighter, which I probably would have walked through in one of them, and I show up to the one where everybody is an amazing fighter, and it was the toughest season, hands down, of talent. So, I finally make it, and I got thrown into it. But then again, I'm tied to that title, of Tough 17, and everybody's going to remember it and know how good and how talented that season was. So, even though I didn't make it near as far as I planned on or should have and, could have, I'm still happy with the whole experience, and I would do it all over again. Beautiful.
Well, I tell you what, Zach, we're definitely pleased to hear that you're going to be getting another shot. It definitely sounds that way. We want to wish you the best. Hopefully you heal up quick and come back 100%. And before we let you go, we just want to give you a chance, give a shout out to your sponsors, Fight Camp, and feel free to let the fans know how they can get a hold of you on Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah, definitely. The main thing I want to thank is, my family, my wife Amy, for putting up with me for being gone so long, and Grindhouse MMA here in Kansas City, Springfield Fight Club down in Springfield, Missouri, and as of lately, One MMA, out there in Portland where Chael trains. They pretty much adopted me and took me on and showed me a lot. That was great. If you want to keep up with me, I've got, hit me up on Facebook, Zak Cummings. I have a fan page, Zak Cummings MMA, and on Twitter and Instagram is @Zak Cummings and ZAK. So hit me up, follow me, and I don't know, pay attention to all the goofy stuff I post and put on there, and I'll answer any questions anybody ever asks. So I really try to do my best with keeping up with fans and answering them as much as I can.
We really appreciate your time today. I was really pleased when you agreed to come on the show. So it just, as Pat said, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on. So, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Zach.
All right, thanks, guys.
No problem. Bye.